So I did want to talk a little bit today about Greg McElroy's comments on Stetson Bennett and the quarterbacks at Georgia. I was listening to the spring game, and I know we're almost in May now. We're in May, and I've only really gotten a chance to take a listen to the G Day commentary lately. But this is what Greg McElroy had to say about Georgia's quarterbacks, specifically Stetson Bennett and Carson Beck. He said, Carson Beck is trying to make a run at Stetson Bennett's gig, and that was just after Carson had thrown that very long ball. I thought it was a touchdown at the stadium, to be honest with you, because of how loud the crowd was. But it turned out it was just set. It's just set up a touchdown, so not the same thing, right? But it was a very nice pass from Carson, showing off the arm that he's got, the arm talent that he's got, that put him in position a year ago this time to be the backup for JT Daniels. Well, we know how that turned out, right? And this is what Greg went on further to say. He said, "I would be shocked if Stetson Bennett is not the starter this fall. Something horrible would have to happen." And I agree with that. I mean, I think that it's hard to picture someone other than Stetson being the starter. But I will add, and I know I covered Georgia in a way that Greg does not. But quarterbacks that start the season at Georgia don't necessarily finish them. And injury has been the reason why. I mean, you look at I've talked about this a lot. You look at every single case. In 2016, the reason was the better quarterback started. So you started the season with Grayson Lambert, and you wound up with Jacob Eason. Jacob Eason then gave way in 2017 because of an injury that was during the first game of the season to Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm never got hurt, never got knocked out of games that I remember, and never lost his job. Justin Fields was on the roster at the time. Stetson Bennett, as it turns out, national championship winning quarterback Stetson Bennett was on the team at the time. Um, but he never lost his job. You fast forward to Dwayne Mathis in 2020. Um, he did not lose his job to injury, but you could argue that by the time Stetson Bennett took over for good, that injury did have a play in the reason why Stetson lost his job. I would suggest it was one of the reasons injury was one of the reasons why JT did not start the 2020 season. And then in 2021, we saw the Georgia Bulldogs win the national championship, and that happened after JT Daniels got hurt after the Vanderbilt game. And he didn't get hurt during the Vanderbilt game. The Vanderbilt game was one of the most interesting games that I've been to in a while. It was the only real COVID game in 2021. And what I mean by that is that in 2020, everywhere we went, you had to follow protocol and so forth. Vanderbilt was the only place this season where I did not shoot on the field. The Vanderbilt only permitted one person in the press box per outlet, and I think everybody from Georgia was there. I'm not totally sure. I know that I was the only person that went to every single game in 2020, but in that Vanderbilt game in 2021, JT went 9 of 10 for 129 yards, and as we read about in DAWGSTRUCTION, Daniels hand off to Lab McConkey for 24-yard touchdown, put the Dogs up by 5 scores. It was the last significant snap of the season Daniels would take. For the second time in 2021, Daniels would be sidelined with an injury. This time in the week leading up to the massive showdown with top 10 Arkansas. Y'all remember that game? That game was, people were panicking hard that Friday night. Hey, pick up DAWGSTRUCTION now. I am running low, and if you want these before Father's Day or graduation, please order it now. The link is down below. If you need me to sign it for your grad or dad, I'd be glad to do that. Let me know, though. But, you know, I don't think there are, I don't think there are any certainties going into the 2022 season about who will finish the game, excuse me, who will finish at quarterback. My suspicion is the finisher will be Stetson Bennett. Um, but he's not a big person. Although he has proven relatively durable, injuries can happen. I find it really hard to believe that he would get beat out because he has played really well in a controlled environment that has been Georgia's 2021 season. If Stetson were the 2020 Stetson, yeah, he'd get replaced. I mean, he's just that person is not as good as the other as Carson Beck. I don't know if he's. I mean, might be better than Brian Vandergriff at this point. I'm not sure, but we still have a long way to go. Now, one thing that's really important to talk about here when you start talking about quarterbacks is not necessarily physical attributes. It's about right play, right protections, command of the huddle. One thing I think that's really important to recall here is, Stetson is one of the oldest people to ever play college football. You know, you saw this in the past when guys left and went to play baseball and came back to play college football. It's not dissimilar to that, but Stetson's been in the program all but one of these years. So he has spent this will be his sixth season of college football, and only one of those years will it have been that he wasn't in Athens. And I think, and I might be wrong about this. I think he was there in the spring of 2019. I can't remember what year it was, but when you talk about him being that age and having that experience, he's going to be able to say to guys in the huddle, "Hey, we can do this. We have done this. Let's go do it." He will have the ability when they're not in the huddle, when they're goofing around and like a ball is on the ground and someone shouldn't be around a ball that's on the ground, when you're goofing around, or even, I get real funny with guys doing any sort of practice stuff with a football on the ground because it's a great way to roll your ankle slash break your leg or neck. Just simple stuff. Moving forward in an adult way. Hey, if you're going out, don't be dumb when you go out. If you're going to go out and kind of get loose a little bit, make sure you got your ride home. Make sure you got a place that you can kind of get away if you need to get away if there's trouble. Stuff like that. Just being smart. And when we're young men in college, being smart is not handed to you when you get to the door. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on there. But I think that for Stetson, as he comes in this 2022 season, he's the only quarterback that can lead his team to a second national championship this year. He's the only starting quarterback that's returning that can do that. Everybody else is gone. Joe Burrow, Mac Jones, they're all in the league. Only Stetson Bennett. And that's why I think we'll see him as the starter this season. We'll see you over on Dog Post.